So when we designed the lab, we really kept in mind the fact that patients come to us in two ways. They either come to us through the primary care providers in the building or from the outside. We want to be able to serve the entire community of Bonney Lake, whether or not you have a Franciscan provider, because maybe you'll change your mind once you've seen the building. Okay. Once a patient comes in, they go to patient intake, and what was huge for us to wrap our heads around is, yes, it doesn't matter whether you wear a PAC Lab badge or a St. Joe's badge or an FFG badge, we can have one registration, even though we bill out of different systems, and we can trust that the right information will end up at the right place so that the patient has one place to go. That was huge for us. In fact, I got a ping call on Tuesday saying, and it's huge because we are there and we totally buy into it and we know it's the right thing for the patient. So once the patient has gone to patient intake where the billing information and the lab orders will be processed, they'll be invited through a sweeping wall to enter the lab. And I want to take a minute to point out somebody who I've noticed is sitting in the back of the room right now. Miss Betty is a patient who spent the week with us. I think she was supposed to spend 2 days with us, and she's still here right now. The reason, Miss Betty, that I want to talk about you for just a minute, if you will, is that when we design a lab, it's always a shoebox. Okay, it's like lab in a box. We have a square, we build a lab. And all of us on my team were really touched by your words about what it feels like as a patient to walk into a space and to see these straight walls and all these corners and you're scared. And you touched our hearts, and as a result, you've touched our design. So the lab is the first time I've ever seen one that doesn't have all square corners. So thank you. So when you come to the reception desk that is no longer a corner, but a sweeping wall, you might have to call that Betty's Corner or something, I'm not sure. Betty's, there we go. So there's a patient service center rep who will be there to greet you, and then we've kept all of the patient flow in the front. So we want to be very, very patient-centered in the front of our suite. So we have 2 draw stations, so a rep will take you back and draw your blood in one of the 2 draw stations. We also have a patient toilet where we can do just regular collections, or we've learned that we can assist family practice and prompt care by doing DOT collections for them there, freeing up their resources for other patient care, because those procedures take a little longer, so we actually have a space to do those DOT collections. So that's the front half of the suite. In the back, we have processing where we get the blood and urine and all that good stuff ready to go for testing. And there's a back door there for the couriers to do pickup, or for the lab staff to leave, go upstairs and do pickups in family practice or go over prompt care and pick up your samples and process them in the back of the lab. We've also put in a staff lounge because we envision that one person will be working there initially, and that person, to take a break, might have to stay in the lab suite. But we, in the back of our minds, thought if we get so busy that we need a 3rd draw room, that could easily be converted. So we really tried to think about future growth, when we get busy. When we get busy. So I'm just going to remind you that our patient flow is in the front, sample flow is in the back, and our patients will exit out the door there, that we put a little curtain there. So patients in one way, out the other, so that we don't create bottlenecks. Okay? Prompt care and family practice will be drawing most of their own samples. We really haven't talked a whole lot about flow or process. I would imagine that if they need an assist with a draw, that we could be dispatched to a draw for them. So